Welcome to Chapter 1, Planning. So for all of you out there that are considering acquiring a cargo trailer to convert somehow, hopefully I can be of assistance. This is a big picture, general overview of how to go about it. I've seen so many YouTube channels and websites on how to go about doing this, and it's basically a lot of people do a walkthrough and sort of a quick and dirty, here's what I did. And I know I went through the same thing. All the research, looking at YouTube channels, looking at information, acquiring all the things that I needed, and put it all together and then moved forward. Well, it's pretty tricky out there to actually find what you need and put your trust in some of the information that you get in. So I thought I would use some of the experience that I have as a designer, architectural designer, somebody who does lighting and electrical, and having been a sailor, having lived on a sailboat. My first trade is a cabinet maker. Although I haven't been in the business for a long time, I do my own thing for myself. So I think I have a lot of experience and input that people could value. So I thought I would do this. So in order to build one of these things out, you need to start off with a framework, and you need to have a box or a trailer to work with, and you really need to determine what you want to do. What's the purpose of your build out, and what do you want to use it for, right? There's so many variables out there. Some people just want a weekend thing. Some people just want something to have on hand to get away. So you really need to figure out what your objective is of doing this for both the short term and the long term. Do you want to keep it for a long time? Do you want to just build it out as an experiment? Is it a hobby? Is it a lifelong passion? You have to really think about, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? And when you're working that out, you need to figure out your constraints. What kind of budget do we have? How much room do we have to make this, to do this? How much time do we have? Do we have any health issues? Constraints not meaning something negative. Constraints meaning boundaries within which to work, and that's really important, because if you don't define that, you wind up getting frustrated that you don't have enough room to do what you need to do, or money to do what you need to do, or time, etc. So you need to define that stuff early on so that it's manageable. So you can see that I've worked out areas to consider when planning. Number one is, what is the purpose of the build? Number two, objectives in long and short term. Number three, constraints. Number four, programming and design concept. Programming is one of those design words that is used in the hotel, restaurant, commercial building industry, and in the residential industry as well. You list your wants and you list your needs, and what do we need to have and what do we want to have. And sometimes you take away the want to haves if the money doesn't allow for it, etc. But you keep in the things that you absolutely need. So basically you're putting in a punch list of what things you want out of this project, and that goes hand in hand as you move along with a design concept. So it's really rough, really sketchy, really big picture, general ideas that you put down on paper however you want to do it. You can use scribble, you can use cardboard, you can sit down and do it over a beer, but you really do have to figure out what the things you need to have, what are the things you want to have, and out of that you will evolve a design concept, and that design concept will take a form, and that form will, from my experience, be driven by the functionality of whatever you have for programming. And I see so many people buy a cargo trailer and then they just start building, and they try and shoehorn everything that they want into this space. And quite often it's thought of after the fact, and doesn't work, or it's frustrating. So keep in mind, it's a cargo trailer, it's not a house. So many people they use residential or home ideas, and they try and put that into a cargo trailer, which in my background and my experience doesn't work. There are so many variables in a trailer that don't apply in a residential situation. It's moving, it has vibration, there's temperature fluctuations, there's so many things that you need to factor in that aren't household. You have corrosion, you have all these things that go into one of these units. And I guess I learned that a long time ago when we were on our sailboat. Everything is stainless, everything is teak, everything is stainless cable and fittings and waterproof, and I thought, okay, this is a step beyond what you see in residential, and for a reason, is because if it isn't done that way, it's not going to survive, it's not going to be sustainable. And so what I see in the long run, I see these RVs that are made a lot of time out of household materials, galvanized materials, steel, lumber, insulation. I see all these components that go into RVs that are not sustainable for the long term. Possibly sustainable for the short term, but it's a planned obsolescence. And you see that. You see a lot of people buying, an Airstream or whatever trailer, and they wind up pulling out the gear and swapping it out for better stuff. And I thought to myself, why do that when you can have a blank canvas and put in exactly what you want at your own pace? And the other advantage of doing that is you understand the systems as you're doing them. So if you have a problem, you know how to fix it because you're the one who created it. So again, back to the purpose of the build, how you program, how you work out a design concept and a form and a function. We go to number one. What is the purpose of the build? Well, are we going to live in it full time? Are we going to work in it full time, or both? Are we going to just travel? Are we going to do all three? Living full time, work full time, and travel? Are we only going to travel part time? Are we going to go for weekends only? Is somebody else going to use it part of the year? Is this for our kids? You have to think, what are we going to use it for? What are we going to do with it? And that's the functionality. That's that's informing the function of whatever the unit is that we build, and the form will take shape. I'll give you an example. If you're going off-road and you want to be hunting or bushwhacking, you're going to need a unit that has high clearance, that's, you know, has lots of ability to sustain vibration. And, you know, you got to be able to be very robust on the exterior and on the underside. There's all, you know, basically what you're using this thing for informs the form of whatever it is that you're going to build. So, number 2 of the areas to consider, long and short term. Are we using it for a getaway, or is this a complete lifestyle change? Are we selling our house and moving into this? Is this a direction we want to go? Is this an adventure? Are we doing this because we can't afford a house? We're selling the house, moving into this to save money. Are we doing this as a test to see what if? Or are we strictly doing it for camping, holiday? So we need to define that. And you might not have a complete picture, but at least if you think about this stuff, it will help inform the form of what it is that's being designed.